A brutal escalation of conflict has plunged Ukraine into its bloodiest 24 hours. As Russia claims devastating military gains, Russian Defense Ministry claims that over 1,000 Ukrainian troops were killed, and it has now handed over the dead bodies of about 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers to Kiev. Our next story takes a closer look at the war, which is escalating by the hour.
The battlefield is ablaze, a storm of steel and fire. Russian forces press their offensive, claiming a staggering victory in what Moscow describes as the most lethal day for Ukrainian troops since the conflict began. In a single 24-hour charge, Moscow says Kyiv lost 1,200 soldiers, the fiercest blow in recent memory. An independent verification remains impossible in the fog of war. On the same day, Russia handed over to Ukraine the bodies of 1,000 soldiers. This is part of an agreement reached at peace talks last month. Moscow says Ukraine handed over 19 killed Russian soldiers. On the front lines, the situation is dire for Ukraine. The thunder of multiple rocket launchers brings death and destruction. Ukrainian troops valiantly try to hold their posts and launch precision strikes to destroy the incoming Russian tanks. Kharkiv and Sumy are the focal points of the fighting. Russian forces have been hammering these locations mercilessly. In a significant strategic move, Russia asserts it has captured new areas in Donetsk, Kharkiv region and the southern Zaporizhzhia region. The Russian military accelerated its advances for a third consecutive month in June. Its territorial gains for that month were the biggest since November last year. Ukraine is anxiously waiting for the delivery of the promised weaponry. The NATO military leadership says it is actively working with Germany to send Patriot missile defense systems to Ukraine. The weapons are being delivered under a novel plan where European nations would be paying to the US, which would be selling these weapons. But now France, Italy and the Czech Republic have rejected funding weapon supplies, citing concerns over the economic toll on their populations. Bureau Report, Beyond World is One.
Well, talk of a nuclear response no longer lives in the world of hypotheticals. Russia has drawn its lines. Lines the West now edges closer to crossing. Well, as Europe scrambles to arm Ukraine and fractures ripple through the EU, Moscow warns that those who meddle might find themselves not just at the firing line, but in the Armageddon's crosshair. Take a look at this next report for more.
Tensions are rising fast. Russia is sharpening its stance. The warnings are becoming dangerous. European Union is targeting Russian oil. Ratcheting up the nuclear stakes, Moscow has issued its starkest warning yet, asserting that any aggression against Russia by a non-nuclear state, backed or joined by a nuclear power, will now be considered a joint attack, inviting the full wrath of Russia's nuclear doctrine. The Kremlin message is unflinching. Coalitions supporting Ukraine would be a target.
The very first missiles shot down by our air defense systems will allow us to quickly establish where and how they were produced, and most importantly, to accurately name the country of origin. We have already warned about the consequences.
US President Donald Trump on Monday announced a deal where European NATO states to buy US weaponry, particularly advanced Patriot systems, and give it to Kyiv. Along with Patriots, there's also discussions of arming Ukraine with long-range weapons to help it strike deeper inside Russia. Now the EU adopted a sweeping new package of sanctions on Russia over the Ukraine war, looking to pile more pressure on the Kremlin by lowering a price cap for Moscow's oil exports. Moscow downplayed the impact of fresh European Union sanctions on Russia's economy, saying they were illegal and would backfire. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Сьогодні відночі столиця підверглася комбінованій масованій ракетно-дроновій атаці з боку Росії, котре вже за цей місяць і попередній ми бачимо, що вони спрямовують дуже велику кількість ударних дронів, а також різноманітних ракет, як балістичних, так і крилатих. На жаль, тут у нас на цій локації двоє постраждалих осіб, і одну особу, на щастя, вдалося врятувати. Рятувальники наразі повністю ліквідували пожежу, продовжують розбирати і обрізати небезпечні конструкції, іноді проливати ділянки, які ще можуть тліти.
Recent satellite images show Russia quietly upgrading 5 of its key nuclear weapons sites, some just miles from NATO territory. These modernization efforts give us a glimpse into Moscow's potential plans for its nuclear forces. The first base is Osipovichy in central Belarus. A comparison between the satellite photos from April 2021 and May 2025 also shows the construction of a major roadway leading to a large platform. This appears to be built for offloading nuclear warheads from trains, while the roadway is likely meant to connect the train lines to the base. The second base is Gadzhievo, which is a navy depot that houses Russia's nuclear launch-capable submarines. This August 2020 image shows a nuclear warhead in a crane next to a green container serving as a climate control canister. The latest changes occur near the mountain entrance. Here's the Gadzhievo nuclear storage site in September 2022. By May the 28th, 2025, at least 6 new buildings have been constructed. Analysts suspect the structures might be storage sites for missiles not yet loaded with nuclear warheads. The third base is Western Kaliningrad, a Russian exclave that borders Lithuania and Poland. Next to a prison in the area is a base that served as a nuclear maintenance and deployment unit ever since the Soviet era. In this 2012 Google Street View photo, posters on the site's fences describe the unit's purpose and history. Back at the actual storage facility, a comparison of satellite images from 2020 and November 2022 shows that Russia uncovered and then reburied one of its bunkers. Kamchatka is across the Bering Sea from Alaska and is home to one of Russia's naval bases for its Pacific Fleet. Analysts believe Russia holds or used to hold nuclear warheads in a storage facility near this mountain. But a satellite image from October 2022 shows that Russia was also starting to construct 2 new buildings. In this new image taken on June the 3rd, 2025, the northernmost facility is completely covered and satellites can no longer peer inside. The 5th base is on the northern archipelago of Novaya Zemlya, which was where the Soviet Union detonated its Tsar thermonuclear bomb, the most powerful nuclear warhead ever detonated in 1961. Near the test site is a support base on the large island of Severny, as seen on March the 21st, 2021. By August 2023, it's clear the base has started to see significant additions, including a large new building being constructed at the southern end of the compound. A new photo from Planet Labs appears to show that the large building and other additions to the base have been completed. In the last decade, the US intelligence community has accused Russia of continuing to carry out small-yield nuclear blasts. They wouldn't be conducted on these sites, especially given the lack of significant security perimeters. But new signs of life here indicate that the base is active.